But just to give you some insight on this, these are 4 gnomes that were captured by a witch in the 1700s.
Super rare footage. A siren telling the fishermen, jump for me.
This old red camera was able to capture something very interesting.
What's going on, Dark Waters 9 family? In today's video, we're going to be diving into so many different mysterious and strange TikToks, weird theories that no one can explain. Hit that like and subscribe button and let's dive in. A mermaid was caught on an oil rig camera in the Indian Ocean. Let's take a closer look.
This old red camera was able to capture something very interesting. Now, if you're looking at this video, it was only able to capture what looks like the tail of some type of fish. And notice the hair up top. This video possibly looks like it captured a mermaid. This old red.
My question is it motion censored? Where's the rest of the video? If it's just always running, I want to see the beginning where we can see the actual face and hair. Speaking about mysterious creatures, could gnomes be real?
So I recently came across this photo. For those of you who may not know, these were gnomes. I did a story time way back about duendes and my experience with duendes. But just to give you some insight on this, these are 4 gnomes that were captured by a witch in the 1700s. I'll put her name right down here because I do not want to butcher it. They were discovered in a tobacco shop in Stockholm in 1960. There's not a lot of background story on how they came about. The little bit that I do know is that there was a witch. Her name had a pesky little problem where she had a duende that was in her house that would move things around and was messing with her. She ended up capturing him and putting him in his little box. Once she captured him, more came because once you mess with one of them, you're going to get more. As to how these...
You know what that reminds me of? What was it called? Tales of the Crypt, when all those little black action figures came to life. You mess with one, you mess with all of them. Y'all remember that? That used to give me nightmares. And it didn't help. My mom had the same little creatures, all around the house. So at night when I'm wake up to go get some milk and cookies, I'm looking at the little statues like, y'all better not move.
Boxes ended up in the tobacco shop in Stockholm is unknown. There's not a lot of backstory to the story, but the fact that this even exists to me is incredible. And also check out those hands. I remember those hands. So I recently came across this photo.
They look real. Is this at a museum you can look at? The detail, look, you can see his little SpongeBob teeth. That's so ugly. Speaking about mermaids, are they really telling us everything there is to know about mermaids?
Culture mentions them. We were lied to about mermaids. Is it not weird that virtually every culture mentions them? In Africa, they're called mamiwata. This has been in their culture for thousands of years, and honestly, many natives still report sightings to this day. In Islam, they weren't just believed in, but widely debated among scholars on whether or not it was permissible to eat them. In Russia, they're called rusalka. In the Inuit world, kalupalik. They're found across Asia, the Caribbean, Latin America, Europe, and many other parts of the world. Many. So the Matrix claims this was just a bunch of drunk and lonely sailors with poor vision, mistaking dolphins, manatees, and seals as mermaids. I would hope no one's ever been that drunk, but I don't think a worldwide thread of similarities can be so easily explained with that one. Far as I know, manatees don't lure sailors onto treacherous rocks with their otherworldly singing.
There's a video I'm gonna play after this where people caught a siren singing, and you can see all the sailors looking off the edge like, what is that? It's the curiosity.
And then devour them. Yeah, they're not always the sweet Disney representations we were taught. Now they tell us that we've only mapped 5% of the ocean, and space is supposed to be the final frontier. Yeah, right. I think we'd all be surprised what's actually going on down there. And if you look up the amount of globsters, these unidentifiable carcasses that get washed up on shore, I think it's pretty telling what else could be down there.
I'm pretty sure that last one they showed that was washed up was a giant whale. A blue whale or a sperm whale, you can see the ridges.
these unidentifiable carcasses that get washed up on shore. I think it's pretty telling what else could be down there. Now, the book of Enoch says that the women who laid with the fallen angels would be cursed to become sirens, mermaids. They procreated with the fallen angels when they came down after the rebellion in heaven.
I thought it was humans, not mermaids. But is it possible that afterwards it changed them to a creature? I don't know. I don't remember seeing that part, but it is interesting.
And for those that know the hidden books of the Bible, Enoch, Jasher, Jubilees, they go all into the story of how the 200 fallen angels descended from heaven, mating with human women, creating the Nephilim giants, and then corrupting the entire earth. As it states in both Genesis and Enoch, Nephilim began to sin against the birds and the beasts, the fish and the reptiles. Sin here is, well, genetic experiments, genetic miscegenation. Our past was way more advanced than what we've been taught, you know. And the earth ended up with a bunch of weird hybrid creatures all running around, so much that it disgusted God, for all the flesh was corrupt. And then Noah was warned about the great flood. That was the real reason God flooded the earth.
But wouldn't mermaids survive? Like, even if the earth got flooded, wouldn't the water creatures kind of survive? Because you can go deep, you know, into the water and you're not really affected by all the stuff going on at the top. I don't know. That's just my thesis on it.
It had nothing to do with humans. And what is another cultural legend across the world? The deluge, a worldwide flood, many of them even echoing a similar story of sky gods bestowing forbidden knowledge. And if you don't believe weird creatures were around back then, let me introduce you to Ulysses Aldrovandi. This guy was not only a naturalist, meaning someone who dedicated their life to studying nature and the creatures around it, but he's considered to be the father of natural studies. He's also credited with first inventing and writing the word geology, so this isn't a nobody. Here is a 1642 publication called The Chronicles History of Animals, with a history of monsters. Mind you, this man is famously quoted, "I have never described anything without having first seen it with my eyes." Of course, Ulysses is no exception. There have been countless historical works from authors describing mermaids and various other creatures in great detail, but today it's all brushed off as creative imagination. Sad to see how time and time again we discredit scholars of the past based on our own dogmatic and limited understanding of the world. It's the same tired explanation that allows academia to label old map makers and ancient cultures as creative liars. But we know that's not really the case. Essentially, any and everything that doesn't fall within the accepted narrative gets ridiculed. Mermaids did not start off as a myth. They began as encounters. It was real. They taught us it was a myth. It wasn't. It was real. And what gets overlooked is all these cultures and explorers that had no contact with one another, all describing the same thing. Humanoid creatures living in the oceans, sometimes watching from a distance, interacting with people, sometimes luring and devouring them. There is an entire hidden world in the ocean's abyss, and if there was a great flood designed to cleanse the land, to wipe out what had been corrupted, then the question nobody asks is this: what about the creatures already living in the water? The flood couldn't touch them, and we really don't know what survived. I'm
telling you, that's what I said. But I gotta show you guys this Siren video. Activate submersible. Y'all ain't gonna believe this. Yeah. Super rare footage. A siren telling the fisherman, "Jump for me." I didn't know that.
We got another one over here. What are those? What the fuck's going on? On each side of the boat? What are those trails called? What's something swimming fast underneath that water? Something swimming real fast underneath that water. I hear him. Where's she at? What the fuck is that noise, bro? What is that noise? Where are you?
Something's on that water yelling. Y'all tell me. What was it? Someone in the UK was walking around this old building and noticed something wasn't right. Let's take a closer look.
Look at this, just walking along and I see these big pillars. And then underneath that plastic and all the way up, I'm sure it's like that as well. This is all biology, look. This is like Titan skin and the internals. Not even skin, it's the internals of a Titan. And look, it's all along here. All of this stone used to make these buildings, this is flesh. This is petrified flesh. All of this, there's so much of it because these beings are so massive, they're like miles tall. All of this is petrified flesh. Look, you can see this is all the muscle tissue, this is the fat. Look, this is muscle tissue and fat. That's what that is, that's all connective tissue. This is petrified flesh. Think about the size of these beings. If they're making buildings out of them. Look, it goes all the way along there. And here, look, this whole thing. This is all flesh. This is petrified flesh. Look at that! Wow! That's crazy. When you realise what that is, it's so amazing to see. And slightly terrifying. Like, what is this world? We live on a graveyard. I think it's in the book of Enoch that Jesus said, anyone who has discovered the world has discovered a corpse. But there you go. This is petrified flesh.
Where did it say that?
Amazing.
When someone realizes you see through the image they're trying to project, they become hostile toward you. Your awareness threatens them. You're a mirror they can't control. You see what they're hiding, and that terrifies them. So they turn on you. Not because you did anything wrong, but because you saw too much. And here's what you need to remember. People will treat you like the villain, so they don't have to feel guilty for how they treated you. They'll rewrite the story, make themselves the victim, paint you as the problem. Because admitting the truth would mean facing themselves. And that's the one thing they refuse to do. Don't waste energy defending yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. The ones who matter already know who you are. The rest were never going to see it anyway.
Damn, that's deep. Tenderize that. I believe that's a hornworm, right? Man, those things could do damage in a garden. They'll eat all your crops. But I wonder what's that powder? Is it nutrients for her? Gecko? Interesting.
Alright, we're out here in the backyard hand feeding these predator birds. We're catching these live locusts and throwing them way up in the air, and these birds are flying down and eating them. They're in one
That's a nice house.
of these trees. Alright, here we go. Got him! Yeah!
Pidgeotto, I choose you! Alright guys, we have some more ancient giant theories. Unicorn skin found in an ancient tomb of giants. What?
In the burial chamber, wrapped up, this is another thing that interested me. Brewer was not interested in it. There was a nice animal skin, kind of a silky texture, and it had one spiral horn. So I thought, so they're not creatures of myth after all. And that, to me, that was like, wow. So I'm talking about a unicorn, and they were apparently hunted to extinction, and it was like, you know, putting it on the wall, a symbol of, you know, whatever they had. They had the same jewelry, the same things like we had and everything, and so anyway, that was a whole unique experience. In the burial chamber.
At least show us a picture of it then. Proof that showing up matters even when you're an adult.
These memories will stay with me.
Oh, shit. Yeah. I was like, what? So, bro.
These memories.
You can see his whole persona light up. I don't know if they were playing a joke on him, saying that, oh, we can't make it. He's like, oh man, I gotta go fish alone. And then watch how his whole demeanor changed. He was like, ah, yeah. Doing stuff by yourself all the time is not fun. Title reads, it looks like sci-fi, but it's actually a 19th century history. The Fisk metallic burial case allowed for viewings without odors of the pre-embalming. What?
This is a Fisk. This was put into a coffin.
Thank goodness nobody's inside.
Before there were caskets, a lot of it was that you could still see your loved one's face, but the smell, because this was pre-embalming, would not be as great. This is a...
So you get to see the decomposing body? What is going on here? Is this something y'all would do? I've heard of a cool idea I did hear about is like a tree, like they would put a body inside the tree, and then as the body decomposed, it will be part of the tree. I thought that was pretty cool. Alright guys, it's that time of the day again. If you thought I wasn't going to hit you with another excellent specimen of the day today, think again. Hi, Houston! This malachite, explained azurite, the crystal is relatively large. The fluffy malachite has a good gloss. From the Congo. Yeah, the blues on the back too make it pop. Like those earthly deep blues, and then you got that deep green, and then it fades into a light green. A lot's going on here. The rating I'm gonna give this, I'm gonna have to give this a 8.7, and I'm gonna call this the Earth Island Stone. 8.7 Earth Island Stone. Here is the truth behind illusion. You don't lose people, you lose the illusion.
You don't lose people, you lose illusion of who they were, of what it was, of what you thought it could be. Truth doesn't take from you. It clears the weight. Silence will show you things noise never could. Who you are without distraction. What you feel without escape. Sit with it. There's clarity in there. Sometimes a thing only looks hard because of the way you look at it. If you think a thing is impossible, you only make it impossible. It's okay to slow down. Everything needs to be solved tonight. Rest your mind. You see it clearer. Some of your best work won't be no applause, no validation. Do it anyway. Because character is built in private. To know oneself. Because once you know yourself, you cannot be controlled by fear or by other people's opinion.
Damn, R.I.P. Bruce Lee, gone too soon. I'm sure he would be making all kinds of crazy movies if he was still alive, man. They probably would have tried to make him into a superhero. Didn't he try doing like Green Hornet or something like that? But because of like back in the day, they didn't want him as a main character or something. He would make an excellent Iron Fist. Liu Kang on the Mortal Kombat movies, man, it's endless. Ryu, Street Fighter, Bruce would have did great on those roles.
In the days before cars had air conditioning, you had different ways to make yourself comfortable in the car. You had these levers down here on each side that opened up and allowed the air to come into your legs. Then you had this In the days before...
The Bug Eater 3000. Did you see that? I would crack it just a little bit. My truck ain't got AC right now. I just crack the windows on the side and be hot. But that's my bang bang truck, man. I love it. That's all we got for today's video. If you enjoyed this one, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button, and also drop the code word in the comments below. The code word for today is mermaids. Go ahead and drop mermaids in the comments below. When you do that, that lets me know you're a real one. You made it all the way to the end of the video, and you really rock with your boy. And I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart, and I'm doubling up today. So be sure to head over to Jesse Chuck later on today and check out a longer version of these deep dives. Thank you so much. See you soon.